letterpress workshop since the beginning of March, or since the 6th of March. And today he's going to talk to us about two things. One of these is an archive that's here and now slightly increased, thanks to Thomas's presence, the archive of John Ryder. And John Ryder was a book designer with whom Thomas worked in London. And he will tell us a bit about that and also say something about his
project.
On his project. And he will also be presenting the project that he's been working on in the Bodleian's workshop, and we're really delighted to see that, which is in itself a tribute to John Ryder.
Sure, correct.
Thanks. If you could keep your coffee at this end, either finish it or leave it, and we will go down to the other end of the room.
Good morning again, everyone. I don't have to introduce myself anymore. I'm your printer in residence for the month of March. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the project that I've been working on during my stay here and how I came here with this project. When I was 16 years old, I bought a small printing press, an Adana printing press. And I started with 2 cases of type, printing small publications. I quickly found a book which was written by a certain John Ryder called Printing for Pleasure. It is a small format book. It's lying on the table there, the black bound version. And John's book turned out to be my printing Bible. Everything that I learned in the beginning came from that little book. Shortly after, I bought a second book written and designed by John, which is called A Suite of Fleurons. Fleurons are the flowers that printers used and still use to illuminate their pages. They go back to Spain and to more bookbinders, and they slowly made their way up into France, 17th century, and then type foundries would start producing all different shapes of them, and you could combine them into patterns. John had a small printing press himself, a so-called flatbed Adana press, on which he experimented. And he experimented a lot with these ornaments, and he prepared that little book mainly on his own press. And here in front of me, I've got his notes that he took in order to prepare his book. Next to the notes, I've put some of the metal ornaments, the lead ornaments, that we can find in the print department here. Many years later, in 1984, I moved to London myself, and I ended up working with the Bodley Head. And to my great surprise, John Ryder, who had retired, would still come in once a week, and there was a gentleman's agreement between Max Reinhardt and John. He kept his room, and on Wednesday mornings he would come from Richmond and receive his guests and hold a salon in his room. One of the favorite things of John was to invite people for lunch, and it was always, but really always, the Pizza Express, close to the British Museum. And it is John who got me into drinking at lunchtime. John would always get the same pizza Veneziana, and he would drink 2 glasses of red wine with it. Sometimes I would come back from lunch, and my art director would look at me and see me like that and say, "Been out for lunch with John?" The rest of the afternoon, I was sitting behind my desk, just like. Anyway, I moved away from London to Paris and on and on, but kept in touch with John and corresponded with him. When John died, or before he died, he left his entire archives here. And when I heard of the possibility of becoming a printer in residence, I jumped on the occasion. So when I came here, I came with a plan. I was informed that there were 3 cases of ornaments here, among all the cases of type. And I thought, okay, if they've got ornaments, the chance is there that there are some ornaments that John also used. and it turned out to be correct. On that side we see all John's work and all his notes, his very precise notes. It was someone who kept a track of everything, and I've been going through some of his boxes here, and I'm surprised to find who he corresponded with and what he kept and how he functioned. He never left Britain, but he knew everybody all over the world in the printing and design world. My project consists of a small publication of 16 pages, and as you can see on this side, you see a sketch, or actually it's more than a sketch, it's a layout of how the pages have to look. John stuck everything in with glue and everything was noted in pencil. I still work very much like that. So I have got a flat plan here that explains how the pages are being laid out and how many sheets have to be printed and what sides I print first. Then I've got my proper setup. I was given some nice paper by Richard Lawrence, so I was able to print on that. And here are my first proofs. I started off with the idea of making a booklet with blocks, just simple blocks of ornaments. But then when I cycled home, again on a bicycle lent to me by Richard, I decided this is too boring. I should do something a little bit more in the spirit of John. And I took the whole thing apart and started again. I put all the ornaments that I had at my disposal and started making a whole new layout, and worked with 4 different patterns. There are different styles in the patterns, and I picked 4 different patterns that you could work with on their own or combined. So that was the beauty of these things, and I started playing around with the different patterns that you see here, and with the type that was available here in the workshop, which is Bell, a British typeface cast by the Monotype Corporation. I also wanted to give something a little bit jolly. I looked in the drawers for paper and only found a dark brown paper for the cover, and I wanted something a little bit more sunny. So I went to the art supplier down the road here, asked them if they had any colored paper. They said to go downstairs, look around, and I found this very nice sunflower yellow paper that I used for my cover. So as you can see, the cover is one strip of paper printed in 2 colors. I made one form, as we call that, form with an E at the end, and I printed that once in red, cleaned the press, put red ink on, turned the sheet around and printed it a second time in black. And left enough space in the middle to create a spine for my little publication. Before binding them all up, I had to make a model, of course, flaps, spine. The model is made up of waste sheets because you try to use as little paper as possible, especially when you work on a good quality paper. So this is bound up with some waste sheets, so it looks horrendous and black. But the final result is this little booklet of 24 pages, a showing of fleurons. And I've got a small text at the end that I set again in Bell typeface, which explains a little bit what this book is all about. And for the people who are interested in the fleurons, I have got a stack of keepsakes here, and there are some cards. Feel free to take anything you want. And if you've got any questions, I'm willing to answer questions. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you so much, Thomas. It's been wonderful having you in the library.
It was a pleasure being here,
Thank
and
you.
an honor as well.
And we will catalogue it very quickly.
Yes.
All
Next
week.
Can you hold it up once? Can you hold it up, please? Good, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.